They removed all the pride flags from Stonewall today. Stonewall. I love it here.
Well, she seems stable. Guys, up first, we're going to talk about something seemingly rather inconsequential, yet people are very up in arms about it. I guess that makes today a day that ends up in Y, when people are at each other's throats over something that frankly is just not that big a deal. But the short version of this story is that progressive commentators and politicians are in uproar after rainbow flags were taken down from the federal park that's part of Stonewall. This is all, of course, in New York. The Stonewall Inn is private property where the famous gay rights protest / riot happened, but there is a federal park across the street, I believe, that was designated as a federal park or a national park by President Obama. And the Trump administration is still, of course, operating it. They haven't turned it into a conversion therapy center for ex-gays yet, but they did take down the rainbow flag in keeping with an executive order that says only the American flag and other government-related flags like the state flags and the prisoner of war flags will be flown on government property. And this has led to national outcry and outrage from the alphabet people and their allies in the Democratic Party. Here is how the journalist, and I guess I use that word kind of loosely here, Aaron Parnas of TikTok. Here's how he portrayed this story to his millions and millions of followers. Watch this.
We have some big news right now. The National Park Service has removed a pride flag from the Stonewall National Monument in New York City this week. According to NBC News, this is one of the most serious up-to-date actions that the Trump administration has taken to remove the recognition of LGBTQ people from the historic site.
I'm sorry, if this is one of the most significant actions, taking down a couple flags, then the actions aren't that significant.
Site. The monument is meant to recognize the Stonewall Inn, which is a Manhattan gay bar that was the site of a 1969 uprising. Back during the Obama administration, former President Obama designated the site and Christopher Park essentially a national monument. And while today, now, the pride flag is no longer flying on the national monument. According to NBC, the reason why is because Interior says that, quote, only the United States flag and other congressionally or departmentally authorized flags are flown on NPC-managed flagpoles, with limited exceptions. But really, this is just a way the National Park Service can do away with and try to whitewash LGBTQ plus Americans.
Do away with LGBTQ plus Americans by taking down a rainbow flag on a national park. You might be reaching there a little bit. In fact, you might be distorting or blowing this out of proportion just a tad there, Aaron. And I find that to be hyperbolic and absurd. But we're going to get into all the details of this. First, though, if you're new here, do consider subscribing and sticking around. Do hit the like button to reward my suffering through all the delulu I encounter on this podcast. And if you regularly enjoy my content and the independent perspective that I bring, do consider becoming a channel member now by hitting the join button or the link in the pinned comment or the description to support me and help me, because it's really easy to succeed if you just pander to the left or just pander to the right, but it's harder when you try to have an independent, nuanced take, which is what I do here. So you can call me PBS if you like, but I do need support from viewers like you. Thank you to the over 415 of you who've signed up to become members. And if you're able to, you do so today, you'll unlock early access to full ad-free episodes with no annoying YouTube mid-rolls, no ads mid-sentence. I disable that, but only for the membies. Now, guys, we will get into the details of this Trump policy change, and then you can decide for yourself how scandalized you are by it. But first, I'm sorry, I just have to show you this video of this transgender activist, Zaya Persian, who has millions of followers on TikTok, simply crashing out over this earth-shattering development. Listen to this.
They removed all the pride flags from Stonewall today. Stonewall. You know, the event that was a turning point for the modern day LGBTQ plus rights movement? Yeah, They just took away all the pride flags. They're continuing to try to erase all our history. Yeah. I love it here.
Well, she seems stable. I mean, guys, this isn't even Stonewall Inn. This isn't even where the actual event happened. That's still all decked out in rainbow and is privately owned. It's just a federal park across the street, and they took down the rainbow flag because they view it as a political flag, and they're only going to be flying the American flag under Trump's new policies. I don't know that that's really that necessary, but is it truly scandalous or dystopian or authoritarian? No. Honestly, I don't even think it's that controversial a take to say only the American flag or other like government flags like the state flag should fly at national parks. And then they're still operating this park, and the website still details and it still serves to commemorate this important development in gay rights history. They're just not flying what, whether you like it or not, the rainbow flag is a political symbol now. And unfortunately, activists like Zaya here have conflated it with a whole host of radical and deeply ideological and controversial causes like irreversible often and very severe in their consequences, medical transitions of minors, and demanding that people be allowed to self-ID as whatever they want on all their paperwork, and putting biologically male sex offenders in women's prisons. All of that and more has been done under this flag and turned it into a political symbol. So I'm sorry, I'm just not scandalized by the idea that it shouldn't be flown at national parks. And I also just fail to see how it's going to meaningfully affect anyone's life at all. But one person who most certainly disagrees with me on that is the new far-left mayor of New York City, Zohran Mamdani. He put out a scathing statement about this. I'll read it to you now. I am outraged by the removal of the rainbow pride flag from Stonewall National Monument. New York is the birthplace of the modern LGBTQ plus rights movement, and no act of erasure will ever change or silence that history. Our city has a duty not just to honor this legacy, but to live up to it. I will always fight for a New York City that invests in our LGBTQ plus community, defends their dignity, and protects every one of our neighbors without exception. I don't know, I gotta say, I really don't view taking down a flag on a park that no one really cares about anyway. Obviously, the inn and the actual place is the historical site. This is just a federal park. I don't know that anyone would have really noticed this if activists and journalists hadn't freaked out about it. Yeah, I don't think that it really has anything to do with anyone's dignity or safety. And frankly, I just think this is another culture war thing that has us at each other's throats, has us lots of people frothing online, but is really not that deep. It doesn't need to be a 10 out of 10 on everything. And frankly, when you are at a 10 of 10, and when you are at this 10 out of 10 fever pitch all the time, it makes it hard for us to take the outrage seriously when Trump's actually doing something really dangerous or really effed up, which he certainly does sometimes. But like, they're at a 10 out of 10 over a flag coming down on a park. I just can't I don't have it in me. I'm sorry. I will gladly and have very many times criticized the Trump administration for all sorts of things. But this one I just don't find particularly objectionable, and I find the meltdown over it kind of laughable. I don't know. I just the disproportionate rage and concern about it that's so wildly disproportionate with the actual significance of the development seems to me like it's giving Bad Bunny. It's giving Megyn Kelly screaming and losing her mind on Piers Morgan over someone singing in Spanish for 10 minutes is the same thing to me as this like trans woman freaking out on social media and screaming into the camera because they took down a flag on a park. I don't know, man. Some of y'all, it's, I guess, a good thing. Another way to look at it is like, life can't be that bad. We can't have that many things going wrong if this is what people are this pressed about. And of course, it's going to turn into a ridiculous back and forth political battle. So here's the Politico headline. New York City officials plan to re-raise pride flag at Manhattan Stonewall Monument after Trump administration removed it. New York City officials plan to re-raise a pride flag at the federal monument at Stonewall in Manhattan, setting up a potential fight with the White House at the birthplace of the modern gay rights movement nearly 60 years ago. Federal officials quietly took down the flag after the Trump administration in January issued guidance drastically limiting the types of flags that could be displayed at sites managed by the National Park Service. But Manhattan Borough President Brad Hoylman-Siegel said in an interview Tuesday that he and other New York City area politicians would re-raise the flag at the federal monument on Thursday. There was also a big protest at the actual location with about 100 people showing up, and clips from that are circulating online. I do wonder, like, what do you mean you're going to re-raise the flag? This is federal property. It's not. So state and local politicians aren't in charge of it. I don't understand what, like, this is run by the National Park Service, which Trump controls as part of the federal government. So, like, you can't just do what you want just because you're the borough president. I don't know. Are we really going to have like imagine, guys, we're just in such an unserious timeline. Imagine like a constitutional crisis emerges, like state and local authorities with guns drawn against feds, like a standoff over the freaking Stonewall rainbow flag. I don't know, man. What are we doing? We got to get a grip. Everything is just so ridiculous. And I'm sorry, but everyone needs to chill. This is not that deep. And maybe redirect our outrage where it really matters and counts. That's my hot take, at least. But you guys will have to let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe if you aren't yet. And do consider becoming a channel member to support me if you can.